All right, today's target will be solving equations. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to solve a multi-step equation algebraically. It's going to mean variables on both sides, multiple steps on both sides, and you'll be able to recognize unique solutions to an equation. That would be equations that have either no solution or many solutions. I'm going to do a couple examples for you guys. Make sure you take good notes. The first example, I'm going to make sure I walk through each one of the steps. So make sure you write down each of the steps. That way when you go to do a problem on your own, you can follow the steps and you can use those to help you. So this is an example of a multi-step equation. It's a relatively easy one, but we're going to have the same steps no matter what the multi-step equation is. So we'll start by splitting this into two halves. It's always a good idea when solving an equation. So the first half of the equation is 5n plus 34. The second half, negative 2, parentheses 1 minus 7n. So step 1 is to simplify each side. And you do that by distributing and then combining like terms. So there will be some where you don't have to do either. Some of them are already simplified for you. There'll be others where you just have to distribute, or maybe you just have to combine like terms, and there's some where you have to do both. Okay, so we're going to check. So start with the left side of our equation. There's no parentheses here, so there's nothing to distribute. And then our two terms are different terms. So there's no combined like terms. There's actually nothing we can do here on the left side. It's already simplified, so we can go ahead and write 5n plus 34. We're just rewriting it. Doesn't change. On the right side, however, we've got the parentheses, so we're going to go ahead and distribute. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 7n is positive, 14n. Make sure you watch those negatives. Negative times negative is a positive. So we distributed. Now we check to see, can we combine any like terms? No, we cannot combine any like terms. These are two different terms. We cannot add negative 2 and 14n. So step 1 is done. Step 2, move all variables to the left. And all constants, all other numbers, run out of space, to the right. Okay, so start with our variables. We want to take this 14n on the right. We want to move everything to the left. So to move it, we do the opposite operation. Okay, so we're going to subtract 14n. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So right here, positive 14n, negative 14n, those cancel out. On the left side, we make sure we're going to combine the 14n with its like term. Okay, so 5n and negative 14n, if we combine those, we end up with negative 9n. We haven't done anything with the 34 or the negative 2, so we just bring those down. Now we move all of our numbers to the right, so we're going to do the same thing with this 34. Opposite sign, we have positive 34, so we subtract it. That ensures that these are going to cancel out. And then over here on the right, negative 2 and negative 34 gives us negative 36. Extend our line down. So that's step 2, move all the variables to the left, and all the numbers to the right. Next step, step 3. Divide by the coefficient. So whatever number is in front of the variable, we're going to divide both sides by that number. So here we had a negative 9. So we divide both sides by negative 9. Leaves with n on the left and a positive 4 on the right. There's our answer. So same 3 steps. You follow those 3 steps every time, you will get a correct answer. Now, just to be sure we got a correct answer, we're going to go ahead and add a 4th step. Now you don't have to do this fourth step, but I would recommend that you do it. That's just simply checking your work. So our original equation was 5n plus 34 equals negative 2 times 1 minus 7n. So everywhere we see an n, we're going to replace it with 4. So we've got 5 times 4 plus 34 equals negative 2, 1 minus 7, times 4. And then we're going to simplify each side. So on the right, 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 34 is 54. On the right side, we start in the parentheses. 7 times 4 is 28. 1 minus 28 is negative 27. And then negative 2 times negative 27 is 54. So you'll see here that both sides of the equation come out the same. That's our check. That makes sure we did the right thing. So n equals 4 is our answer. So once again, you don't have to do that last step every time, but it's a good habit to get into just to make sure that you didn't make any simple mistakes. Okay. Now, if you miss any of those steps or weren't sure or want to see them again, just rewind the video and rewatch them. I'll move on to example number 2. Now here, I'm not going to write down each of the steps. I just want you to follow what I do. All right. So we're going to start by simplifying each side. Left side cannot be simplified, but the right side we can distribute. Now we don't have any like terms on the left or right, so there's nothing to combine. So we're going to move on to step 2. We're going to subtract. Move all our variables to the left. Okay. So we're going to subtract 24 over here. Those cancel out. Now if you look over here, you have the exact same thing. You have a positive 24 and a negative 24. Those cancel out. So what we're left with is negative 22 equals negative 4. This is a unique solution. Unique solutions happen when the variables disappear. Oops. So our variables disappeared, and what we're left with is negative 22 equals negative 4. This is not true. So if you get a statement that is not true, your answer is no solution. Okay? If you got something that was true, okay? So if the variables disappeared and you got something that was true, your answer would be many solutions. Okay? And the reason why that is, we're looking for a solution. We're looking for a variable, okay, that would make this equation true. And because all our variables cancel out, there is no value of a that you can plug into this equation to make negative 22 equal to negative 4. So as a result, there's no solution. There's no possible value for a to plug in and make that equal. Similarly, if you got an equation that was true, it wouldn't matter what value you picked for a, the equation would always be equal. So those are your unique solutions. That's it. That's all I got. Make sure you go back if you need to. Make sure you've got those 4 steps. Come to class prepared with those 4 steps, so when you do a problem on your own, you can use those. You can use an example to do it correctly.